All right, welcome back. Today, we're doing something called the Great Descent. We're going to take a trip through Pakistan, starting from the literal rooftop of the world all the way down through these incredibly dry heartlands and ending up at the sea. It's a journey that really shows you just how much a country's landscape shapes, well, everything.
So this was the vision, right, from the nation's founding. It's a really powerful and hopeful statement. But you have to ask, what's the actual land that this vision was built on? What are its features, its challenges, and its opportunities?
To really get a handle on Pakistan, you have to understand its geography first. And this isn't just one single landscape. We're talking about a land of wild extremes, all packed into an area about the size of Britain and France put together. Just try to picture it. Towering, frozen peaks that give way to sun-baked plateaus, which then, almost out of nowhere, turn into one of the most fertile river plains on the entire planet. Okay, so our journey, our descent, begins at the highest possible point you can imagine, the rooftop of the world. Up here in the far north, you're literally surrounded by some of the most massive mountain walls on Earth. And this isn't just one mountain range we're talking about. It's like a spectacular collision of giants. It's pretty amazing when you see it laid out like this. You've got these three colossal ranges, the Karakoram, the Himalayas, and the Hindu Kush, and they all just smash together right here. But they're not all the same. You can see they each have their own personality, running in different directions. And just look at those average heights. The Karakoram are the real titans here, averaging an incredible 6,000 meters. That's just wild. So what you get is this totally vertical world of extremes. You've got K2, the second highest peak on Earth, right next to the largest collection of glaciers you can find anywhere outside the Arctic and Antarctica. I mean, that's why they call it the third pole. It's just this massive frozen reservoir. And all that ice, that's the source. That's what feeds the powerful rivers that are basically the lifeblood for the entire country down below. And just to really get your head around the scale here, look at this number, 7,788 meters. Now, you might think that's the highest peak, right? Nope, not even close. That's just the height of Rakaposhi, which is just one of the many, many mountains here. Think about that for a second. That's a single peak almost 8 kilometers straight up into the sky. It's mind-boggling. So as we move down from those huge mountain walls, the whole landscape just transforms. The air gets warmer, the land gets a lot drier, but it is no less rugged. We've officially entered the arid heartlands, a world made of plateaus and deserts. Now, here's a key idea you need to know for this region: badland topography. This is what happens when wind and water just spend millennia carving up the landscape. If you think of a place like the Potwar Plateau, it's a complete maze of ravines and ridges and gullies. It looks incredible, but man, it's really tough terrain. Then, over to the west, you have the huge Balochistan Plateau. This is a high, dry world all on its own, full of parallel mountain ranges and a really unique feature: these inland drainage basins called hammuns. See, the rivers here, they don't flow to the sea. They just flow into these big, shallow bowls in the landscape and then evaporate, leaving these huge salt flats behind. And of course, you can't have an arid heartland without some serious deserts. We're talking about vast seas of sand, where these crescent-shaped dunes, all sculpted by the wind, can get up to a staggering 150 meters high. These are living, breathing landscapes, constantly shifting and being remade by the wind.
Okay, so now we get to the absolute lifeline of Pakistan. After all that harshness in the mountains and the dryness of the plateaus, we finally reach the great Indus River and the enormous, fertile plain that it's created over millions and millions of years.
So the Indus Plain is really split into two different parts. Up north, you have the upper plain, which is fed by the Indus, plus its 4 major tributaries. This creates these really fertile strips of land between the rivers called doabs. But as you move south, all those rivers merge, and the lower plain is dominated by just the one single mighty Indus as it flows toward its delta. This whole area is a classic river landscape. I mean, a geography that's truly alive. You can see how the river meanders, and sometimes it cuts off a bend and leaves behind one of those crescent-shaped oxbow lakes. And this is crucial. Its floods aren't just destructive. Every year, they deposit new layers of fertile silt. This constant natural replenishment is what's made this land the agricultural heart of the nation for thousands of years. So, the big question is, how do people actually adapt to a landscape that's so diverse and, frankly, so demanding? Well, it's pretty simple. The topography completely dictates the way of life. This is where the geography becomes the human story. And you can see this really clear pattern start to emerge. Up in the high mountains, where the winters are brutal, life is all about transhumance, moving your livestock up and down the slopes with the seasons. Then you go to the fertile Indus Plains, and boom, you get dense cities and massive farms. And then out in the desert, life becomes nomadic all over again. Each environment just demands a totally different way of living, a completely unique strategy for survival.
But, and this is a big but, the very systems that provide all this life, especially the Indus River and its huge network of canals, can also create some really profound challenges. Managing water here is an incredibly delicate and difficult balancing act.
So, Pakistan's massive irrigation network, it's an engineering marvel, really. It turned parts of the desert green. But most of these canals, they aren't lined with concrete or anything. They're just ditches dug into the earth. And that creates this persistent, slow-motion problem that just builds over time.
What happens is, this constant leakage from the canals causes the underground water table to rise higher and higher, soaking the soil from below. The technical term is waterlogging. It's like the land is literally drowning from the inside out, and it just suffocates the roots of the crops.
But wait, it actually gets worse. So, as that water gets pulled up to the surface and evaporates in the blazing sun, what does it leave behind? All the natural salts that were in the soil. And the end result is devastating. You get this hard, white crust of salt that forms all over the farmland, making it totally useless. It's this huge environmental crisis, and the crazy part is, it's born from the very thing that was supposed to make the land prosper. And that really just leaves us with this final thought. From the world's highest peaks to this incredibly fertile heartlands and out to its arid deserts, Pakistan's geography is this powerful, defining force. It presents incredible resources on one hand and immense challenges on the other. And figuring out how to navigate that duality, well, that's what's going to continue to shape the nation's destiny.